Okay. Can we get back to it, please? Item 7.7, Infor benefits. How to help? Stuart.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take you through the report. There are a few aspects that I'm sure you'll be interested to explore. And I guess going through, we'll start with the ELT sentiment score, which I'm sure you'll have picked up, that was more negative than previously. We've had a discussion at ELT about that to see what's driving that change in sentiment. And there's a number of things. I think I have now picked this up as project sponsor and have immersed myself in the last couple of months on all things Infor, which has been education. But on the flip side of that, Neville, who has been sponsoring the project for a significant amount of time and would have had a reasonably positive sentiment, hasn't been here to complete that. And I know that Janine has been with the project since its inception and didn't complete the survey due to other time commitments. So that would potentially have had some negative impact, being two of the more positive members. But I also think the timeframes that we're dealing with for the project are reasonably long. So, we're rolling out training across the organisation, and that involves a number of different people, whether that's subject matter experts, team members, and trainers. And that's taken longer than we would have hoped. And that's due to, business as usual commitments, and then being able to free up the people that are the subject matter experts to be able to input into that. So I think some of the progress that we would like to see, we report on this quarterly, and it might be more 6 monthly, that you'll see actually more substantial changes there. Some areas that are very positive, and we've discussed at the executive table, are around the procurement, contract management space. We've now had training up and running for that. That's going to run through to the end of November. It has been very well received. The team have done a fantastic job at pulling that together, both the Infor project team and the subject matter experts in the organisation led by Fiona. And the feedback that we're getting both from the executive and staff is that's been very good. And that component of Infor is intuitive and functioning well, which is great. We've also seen that, where we actually do have dedicated subject matter expertise in areas like RUD that's been established and resourced for some time, that's been working really effectively. And other areas of the organisation, such as my own and people and capability, where we haven't got that resource established yet, and we haven't had the traction that we would have liked to have seen. Now we are underway to recruit that, and we will get that in place, but it takes time. So that's a bit on the ELT satisfaction and some of the subject matter expertise and capacity that we've got. You'll see, I think on page 10, there's a bit of a summary of the sentiment findings there too. And the staff sentiment has remained reasonably consistent with previous surveys. There's some ups and some downs, but it's staying reasonably stable, which is good. You'll see the second point, that there's aspects of the system aren't user friendly, and they do, need you to go through a process to be able to work them. I think personally, if you think back 20 or 30 years, that would have been the accepted norm in business. You get a system and you have to figure out how to use it, and it's not the most straightforward and it's pretty complicated, and that's kind of what we get on with. Now people expect to turn up to the petrol pump or their bank or the supermarket or whatever it might be, and they've got an app and it's instantaneous and it's easy. This system isn't like that, and I think people's kind of patience for that, regardless of how good the training is or how well it works, we're always going to be sort of with that. I've talked to you a little bit about the SME and the bug errors and fixes. You'll see there that we're slowly stabilising that, which is good. And the training information is coming together. So that's a bit of an overview. I'm happy to take questions specifically relating to the report. There's quite a lot in there.
Jean.
Thanks, and congratulations for taking over this project.
Thank you.
I'm curious to see how things adjust with you at the helm of this, the approach you take, just naturally different again to whoever's previous. And so I'm interested to know whether you're seeing any significant opportunities. I note in here you've got under paragraph 40A2 that you're just talking about would require additional investment of about 30,000 for making something automated instead of manual. Are you seeing many other opportunities like that, or is that something that you have an opinion on of how soon you'd like to move things versus the timetable that you've probably been handed? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point to pick up. And I guess we extended the project team through until April next year from
Oh, yeah.
September this year, to be able to achieve the training. So I'm predominantly looking at the training and the ability to actually use the systems that we've got in the space of finance, global HR, and procurement. And I see that that's coming along well. The procurement space is going well. The global HR side of things isn't going well. I've kind of listed that in here, and that's really due to that lack of resource in that subject matter expert space. We do have an advert out currently, and hopefully we'll find a talented individual to come and dedicate time to that to be able to provide the information that we need so we can actually get out there to the organisation and train. I guess in that regard, when you look at finance and probably global HR, they're two of the most heavy used aspects of the N4 tool. So whenever one of those hasn't really advanced, it is having significant impact.
Yeah.
So I do need to get on with that. Yeah.
Is there anything you need from us at the moment? Like we
Uh,
can at this point in the training?
I don't think so. I think,
Yep. That we can support this better?
yeah,
It's just coming in with those fresh eyes on this.
yeah. I think it's getting the resource in place is the key. And I mean, we've got different models. So P&C, we're looking at having a singular subject matter expert to kind of dive into the detail and get across it. Janine in the finance space has looked at a model that works across her team, which is a good model. But again, that's been challenging just with staff turnover and training and development and that kind of thing. So it is just taking longer than what we originally expected. We kind of thought that we might roll out training in 3-4 months' time, but it's taken up to 12 months,
Yeah.
to get the right people involved and have the quality of training there. So,
Yeah, to do it well. Last quick question was, what is BIRST?
Burst.
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 What does that stand for? What is that?
It's just it's a label. I'm not sure that it stands for anything, but it's
a label for.
N4 proprietary and business intelligence tool.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I just get that.
we love an acronym.
Thanks.
Yeah.
In that case, I don't know that it actually stands for anything.
I don't
but
know.
It's just what it stands
Yeah,
for.
that's okay.
I see. So that's why the reference was enough.
Yeah.
Got it now.
Warren. Thanks, Graham. Just one of the other ELT competence issues was around contract management, and I just looking back at the KPMG report, and we speak of project management, but there was issues with the setting up of projects and then the finalisation of projects. Is that talking to the same thing? That the same item?
Janine, you might want to.
Sorry, so you project management versus contract management.
Yeah.
Different.
So okay, so they are different aspects.
They are different. Obviously, projects have contracts within them, but we've got a process underway at the moment in terms of looking at our project reporting and insights, as well as all of our BAU work as well, to get better in that space. And then there's the contract management within N4. Probably just within the work that's been happening here, I want to really emphasise that in the contract management space, it's been clarity for staff around roles and responsibilities, and the utilisation of the tool as a contract management system, not a contract register. So the system itself works really well and does what we need it to do. It is it's the people element and the training and the opportunity that the technology will actually enable for us if we're using it properly. That's the key focus for the training. So don't want councillors to think that the technology is all not working or not doing what it should do. It is, but we need to support our people with how they're actually interfacing with it and using it. to be able to then get things like Burst working really well to give us that insight and intelligence as a consequence.
So is this falling back to the subject matter experts and possibly a lack of around that with the training of the staff?
Yeah, I
Well,
think it's the point
telling me
that
the system works.
Stu's made through the report in terms of this is additional activity on top of BAU. Having said that, though, for a number of staff involved in these spaces, then that training and support should be part and parcel of their role. It's just been a more concerted focus to try and get everyone up to a level, and then we need to maintain it, which I guess is why I've taken the approach that I have within finance of number of different modules that are being used in terms of the whole finance process. And so I've taken the view of that's a capability lift that I need within the team for them to be able to do that really well, that then they take it out in every interaction they have with budget managers, staff like that in the organisation as a training opportunity, rather than having one person that it's actually trying to deal with a number of complex business processes and that type of thing. Whereas in other areas, it's a singular application, it's quite focused around a particular business area. That makes sense to have the expert. I actually want all of my team to be experts effectively.
Thanks for that clarification.
Oh, thank you. I think Janine may have been entering the area that I'm interested in. I'm still trying to understand your dashboard, I have to say. So on page 153, can you explain to me what those figures actually mean? So for ELT confidence, 3 off track.
I can go into that detail for you. So the first one is the survey results show ongoing improvement in ELT confidence in global HR. So that's in the HR space that I've talked about specifically, and that's low. And I've talked about why, because we haven't had resource to improve that. The second aspect of it is survey results show ongoing improvement in ELT confidence in contract management. And that's what I've discussed, that's now underway and running through sessions until November. So I think we're putting about 238 staff through that training, and that's been really well received so far and going positively. But it has taken a bit of time to get there. So that's perhaps why we're seeing that now, but when the report was written, possibly not. And the third, the survey results show ongoing improvement in confidence in Infor Finance. And that's potentially a bit to what I talked about at the start around, while there's been training and education on how to use the system, it is a bit clunky and it's not that intuitive, and you do need to kind of practice with it and use the tools, and people's kind of tolerance for that isn't always there when they're expecting things to be instantaneous in this world. And,
So does the sampling intensity, is every member of ELT answering the questions or what?
Well, yeah, that's the question as well. We've kind of had that discussion at ELT, and we've identified that obviously, Janine hadn't got to that, and I'm not sure if all of the rest of them had, but I can delve into that level of detail as well.
I think from that perspective, though, it's an interesting insight in terms of you take out 2 people who have had the most knowledge of the system and get where is the rest of the executive team sitting. And so I think this is actually really important feedback. I think that explains the change from the previous measure, but this is maybe a more pure measure of where the executive are actually sitting. And as much as we're targeting training at staff, executive members are just staff of a different type in terms of that experience as well. So needing to make sure that we're all engaging with this process.
Thank you.
Paul. So I'm pleased that you've extended the program group and the focus on training, which is clearly the important thing, and everyone has to be an expert, not just the subject matter experts. There's clearly a couple of areas that require work to get the real benefits, because some of them are the sort of automation, that daily processing is automated, reconciliation is automated up to the point that they can be, and spreadsheets kind of aren't part of the reporting process anymore.
Yeah.
And so we take away a whole lot of work and risk actually with spreadsheets. So it sounds like, and you mentioned a fee that's needed, an extra budget to fix accounts receivable, I think. So have you got the sort of budget to get to the real optimization out of this, which is to start to really streamline the processes so that the manual stuff starts coming off and we get more and more automation out of the system?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a process of exploration for me over the last couple of months to find out where everything has been at. And the council approved in June, I believe, $550,000 for a number of roles to support the project. And we, at the same time, approved the extension of the project team to be able to enable the training. There wasn't the funding in the overall budget to do both, basically. So I've had to have a look at, what budget remains and trim back some of the support in the FTE space. And I guess it'll be working with John really in the IT space to look at, some of these other, you picked up the $30,000 there, Jen, under point 40 to see, is that something, because while there might be an ask for a $30,000 piece of development, we also have to have the resource in-house to be able to work with that and deliver against it. And that's the key to success in this. So there's a bit more work for me to do personally to get across that level of detail. But we're looking at that to ensure that we can progress as quickly as we can.
Stu, can I just maybe reference the conversation that we had with John earlier this week, which is, I guess, an audit of our licensing, because obviously everything comes down to users, it's cloud-based. So we've got a bit of a shore up that we need to do there, but it's identified that we've got more licensing in some areas than we need. And so through Infor's Bill of Rights, we can do a swap of those, so a shoring up of those. But to do that, we need a new transaction, which is some sort of change. One of the areas that is being suggested is providing the opportunity to pick up things such as the standard process documentation, process modelling, so we can change the standard process to match what we're doing, and then process mining, so we can actually understand where inefficiencies are happening within the system. So there's those things that we can pick up. And then for further investment, a suite of different automation tools. So be it AI, be it RPA, there's sort of 4 different categories of that automation. So we're looking at that at the moment in terms of the cost versus our readiness to actually move into that space. And the key bit I think that we need to focus on is around that process understanding, because automation over bad process is not really going to be helpful. But I think sort of one of the reasons for picking Infor was the potential for this. So the fact that they actually have that process documentation, modelling, mining now available is a really positive for us. And then if we can pick up some elements of that automation, if we can decouple some of their offering and take that on, support in a way that we can actually support the uplift and utilisation of it in the organisation, is something that we're just having a bit of a conversation about at the moment. There's an opportunity now until the end of September to make those calls. Proportionately, probably a small increase in fee when you consider what we're paying overall from a subscription cost perspective. So definitely looking to identify those opportunities.
Chris.
Maybe if I can, and Janine, you might want to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but just to give Paul some comfort that council did ask for Janine and the Chief Executive, how much the quantum of funding required to get Infor up to speed as quickly as possible, what resources are required to do that, and the number I think was, as Janine says, in excess of 500,000. That was approved. It was taken out of the theoretical surplus from the June 24 year. So I'm comfortable that we've provided the necessary resource to the team to deliver. I'm probably as anxious or more anxious than you for the organisation to reap the benefits of this software. And it's the sooner we can do that, the sooner everybody's going to be more relaxed about the decision that was made way back to move to a enterprise-wide system. So, Janine, you might want to contradict me if I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
That's correct. There were recommendations that had come through the remediation project team around the resourcing need to extend that support, really primarily focused around training. And so that was the 550,000 that was approved at the end of June, which is the funding that Stu's working to optimise.
So if the resourcing's been approved, what's the time frame where we're going to see this progress?
Yeah, it is. And that's why we extended until April next year. So that we hope by that time, that training should be adopted and should be embedded. So
Yeah.
that's our goal at this point.
But just looking forward, the money's now there.
Mhm.
How long do you think it will take to deliver the training and get some benefits to meet that target of having Infor up and running to a level that's considered desirable?
Yeah, that's our plan is April to have
Yeah.
that. We'll have the project manager, procurement and contract management training done by then. We should have had a P&C subject matter expert to support the global HR uptake. And we'll be closing out the finance training that still remains.
Yeah,
So that's,
okay. But I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, that's
But
okay.
what's your estimate of how long, if we said 12 months or what?
How long beyond the training being?
Or how long looking forward till we will see the benefits that you think the money will deliver?
Well, I mean, the automation in global HR, which is a big pinch point for the organization because most people are using that,
Yeah.
should come by April. We should have that. If we have a dedicated person looking into that and looking into automating, we should be able to see those gains there. Everything is quite manual in that space at the minute, and we are hoping to, that will unlock that.
Okay.
We're going to see hopefully some real benefits, and they'll come through to you in reporting around the contract management. Once people actually start to use the tool as it was supposed to be used. So after November, anybody that's required to will have gone through that training, and the team will start to be able to report on that. So you should see tangible benefits coming through by April in those spaces. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah. I'll come back and tell you if it's not tracking well.
Any further questions? Not, can we have a mover and seconder of this? Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Don't go away, Stu.
Yeah.
7.8. Annual leave management.
Yes, so thank you. We'll switch into the annual leave management, wellbeing, health and safety indicators. You'll see that the report has been extended. I think you've had some discussions with Marie just about this report and us continuing to see it evolve. We've been doing that with the health and safety reports to council as well, which you have seen. So there's a bit more detail than has historically been, which is great. And you'll see that we continue to report on the leave balances and how those are being managed there in point 2. And that our sick leave has had a bit of an increase, and that we continue to see improvements with the health and safety assurance activity that's going on. We kind of touched a bit on that with the Safe Plus audit, but we've had 19 executive walk-arounds in the past 12 months, and you can see some of the results of that around personal safety and asset maintenance, which has been a big one in the ICM space. We've been kind of monitoring that monthly, and the teams have done a fantastic job there, with almost 300 improvements to assets for fall prevention and garden, which is really good. We've talked about the Safe Plus audit earlier on, and just to touch on that, we have agreed at ELT some actions out of that. So we're going to increase those health and safety walkarounds for the executive, doubling that. And we're also going to bring in the senior leadership team across the organisation. So there'll be much greater visibility out there around that. As I progress through the report, take you through to the internal assurance activities and just the lead indicators. And really, that's again going back to the assurance activities that we're completing across the organisation, and that we've had 44 of those in the past 12 months. And it just gives you those different lines of assurance, you know, firstly with the management and staff having a look at what they do on a daily basis and how they use their JSAs and SOPs, and then how the health and safety team are overlaid into that to support them and look at that and give training where required. And then that third line is really about the audits that we're doing to actually check, you know, show me, and that's where Safe Plus comes in. That's a high level overview of that report. Happy to take questions.
Question, Jen?
Yeah, no question. Just really good to see that annual leave to 40 hours come down, because that sets the stage for having the others
That's
as
right.
well. And the Safe Plus audit looks like it was really worthwhile.
It was.
It's taken
Yeah.
the next step in the journey.
That's right. Yeah,
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. A comment I should probably make on the Safe Plus audit as well. You'll have read through it, and you'll have, I'm sure, seen other documents like that in other audits. It's quite a tactical, operational report. Everything is fairly low level in it, which was good to see. I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff in there, but it was all pretty easily achievable. And most of it we already had in our health and safety plan, which is great. So it was good that there wasn't anything particularly significant there that was highlighted. So yeah, real positive.
Thank you, Chris. Seconder? Thank you, Jen. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stu.
Thanks.
Legal compliance survey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Welcome.
I'll take the report as read, but I am available should you have any questions.
Any questions?
Through the chair, without stating the obvious, I think the 100% completion rate of the survey this time is just something that should be noted. I think that's a first. And I think with the work that Hannah's been doing in terms of, you know, pre-signalling for staff that the survey is coming, and then the gentle coaxing and following up to make sure that people are actually completing it. Yeah, it's fantastic to see. It's a first time complete view of responses.
If there are no questions, can I have a mover and seconder, please? Jen? Chris, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Great result. Item 7.10, policy review schedule. Fiona.
Yes, hello. So the policy review schedule has been provided. The one policy that was reviewed in the last quarter was the contract management policy, which has been attached for your review. There's some minor amendments in that policy, excuse me, mainly around aligning the contract management policy with our Infor contract management system and the roles, clarity around roles and responsibilities along with that. There was a health and safety addition of Te Tika as a pre-qualification provider, because we now use those as well as she, and just some other minor changes. But I'm open to any questions.
Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just interested in the reasoning behind taking on the other extra pre-qualification certify the Tautika.
Yeah, health and safety team have kind of led this change, but from my understanding, there was an increasing need to look at Tatika just as an alternative option, just due to a lot of consultants or contractors using Tatika. So they did a review and put a recommendation forward in terms of having that available as a provider as well. So we still go through the pre-qualification assessment for those two, but there is the options, which gives some organisations some better ability to engage with us.
Okay, no, thanks for that. And just a typo possibly that I did pick up, prove that I read it all, but page 195 and 4.2, you refer, which is the exemption part, you refer to see below 4.4. I think it should be 4.5, just for your info. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just,
Jennifer.
it's not related to the contracts one. That's very logical, makes sense. Really appreciate that. I was just wondering, because I was looking through the list of all the other policies, and it was the visitor one that sparked my interest, which is approved by ELT. It would be really great if in the future there was a pathway to using the very upstairs of this building for something community related. So I'm just noting that it's coming up for review. If that's the right one, there might be a different one. We have so many policies, but just something maybe to give thought to again. I know we've looked at it in the past, but it's just a comment. I'll leave it at that.
Noted. Okay.
So just on the particular one, so that's the construction health and safety New Zealand product. Yeah. It's I think it's a good product, and it's being used more commonly now by people around the traps. And it's good if we can try and standardise with sort of others, so that contractors aren't, filling out lots of different forms. So I think it's a really good choice to put that in. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. If there are no further questions, can I have a mover and seconder for the resolutions, which are to receive the report and also for the committee to endorse the contract management policy changes and recommend to council that it be adopted? Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Paul. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Fiona. Which brings us to feedback and complaints annual report.
Morena, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take the report as read as well, but there are a couple of key overall trends that we observed over the course of the year. The total volume in terms of combined complaints and compliments received across WRC has increased just under 9% this year compared to last. But the overall response times to these complaints have been remained fairly consistent, with the exception of one outlier in the SPY area, which was related specifically to rain gauge issues. Compliments have also remained pretty steady, a slight increase 1% over last year, but the nature of the compliments continues to focus primarily on the service quality and staff and contractor conduct issues. So that's very little variation from the previous years. Complaints overall across WRC have remained consistent as well, a modest 1% increase, but notably public transport has seen a 15% decrease in complaints compared to last year. The complaint categories remains largely unchanged for both WRC and also for public transport, where the most common issues relate to driver behavior and things like failure to stop or some dangerous driving. And these continue to be addressed by the transport team with the contractor on an ongoing basis. Some of the projects that we have ongoing are related to, I guess, are focused more on delivering a more consistent and standardized approach to the service delivery that we have. And we'd like to inform this through the voice of our customers a little bit more. And we're looking at tying some of that into the continuous improvement needs to meet those evolving expectations for service delivery from customers. I'll take any questions.
Any questions? I have one. How do the complaint experience of WRC compare with other regional councils?
That is a good question, and I don't think I have the answer to that one. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that one. I can get back to you with it, though.
Could you please?
Yes.
I know it's a hobby horse of mine context, because this is interesting, but it's more interesting if we know how we compare to other councils.
True.
Jennifer?
Thanks, and really good to see this report. I've been really keen to have this come to the committee. I'm curious about the rest of council section in the report. Paragraph 18 talks about things that are omitted. The requests for service, where would they go? I think it's something that council should see somewhere. I'm just wondering where that will be going.
Well, the request for service as opposed to the complaints and compliments, those are requests from customers for things to us to deliver certain things, and they are surveyed. Actually, once we've done that, they are then surveyed in terms of how they felt about the effort that they had to take, or how about the service quality, the satisfaction in terms of the delivery. So we do survey them. But if you're looking for specific numbers of requests, that's a different topic. Can't be supplied though. We definitely have that information.
Yeah, the question's more like where would it come, and not so much as such numbers, but the qualitative data of what it is and how it's been resolved or could be resolved.
I don't know how to answer that question for you, to be honest with you. Where it comes, it comes from IRIS, and it can come in a separate report in terms of the NPS results that we have around the services we deliver, which is the request for services. So the NPS is the Net Promoter Score.
Okay, we'll give it some thought. Thanks.
Jen, are you looking for what the actual complaint or compliment was about? Is it what I'm understanding you're looking for, that information?
Yeah, I mean, I would like us to get to that level at some point, even if it's aggregated, because I haven't seen it elsewhere. But yeah, just mindful where we're at in the training. It's more something to build on.
I would suggest it's more a management issue too. Just personally, what the comments and complaints may be about.
Yeah, and it might just be to something taken offline to just understand the nature of what it looks like, and then seeing that, just to understand it, that's all, rather than to regularly report it.
So through the chair, if I can help, particularly around the request for service and the Net Promoter Score information that Alison's talking about. So in the ELT neighbourhood, you've probably seen the big screens up there, that actually rotates through a view of the feedback that comes through when people are surveyed. So we can actually see the comments and the score, so the attractors, detractors, as that information's coming through. I guess the challenge is we can't actually match that comment back to what the service was that was actually requested. And I think that's probably where the gold lies, in terms of as a particular activity or action that we're taking that is not being well received from staff. So that is very different to this feedback and complaints process. But we can look at how we bring a view of that back to you with future reporting.
Yeah, thanks, Janine. That does address it. It's really just wanting to know that that process works, of information processed and back to whether an action or just noting.
Yeah, it's sort of the so what from the feedback that we're receiving. What are we doing with that?
Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much. Elected members' interests and gift register update. Hello, Dave.
Good morning, everyone. I think it is still morning. I'm happy for this report to be taken as read, but I will draw to your attention on page 211 of the agenda. We have a table with the last declaration dates. For Councillor Story, we have a declaration date for her gifts, which is incorrect, and the correct date should be the 10th of May 2025. So there have been regular updates since the stated date of June 2024. But other than that, I'll let the report sit as it stands and take any questions.
I have a question. Can you just outline the process that staff use to get these declarations and maintain them up to date, please?
Certainly. On a monthly basis, the elected members receive a pop-up in their calendars that reminds them to make a declaration, and those are at around the same time that they are also prompted to look at their expenses for the month. That invite contains a link to a Microsoft form that the members can go through and fill in that has all of the questions. There's two forms. One allows them to do their pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests, and the other one allows for the declaration of gifts. During the triennial change, we're looking to streamline that process a bit, as from a staff perspective, we've acknowledged that the form process is a bit cumbersome for the members, and there's probably a better way.
Clearly, it's not working at the moment.
I would agree with that, yeah. And
this is a statutory
yes,
obligation.
it is, yeah.
We need to get this better than it is.
Yep. So what we're proposing to do is the perceived weakness that we see with the process is that, for example, members receive a form with their pecuniary interests with about 20-something questions. The form doesn't give the members their previous answers, so there's nothing to compare, and obviously it's an arduous task to over and over enter that information again. What we're proposing in the next triennium is that members will receive a login during the induction process to the document management system. There'll be a Word document that will contain their previous declarations, and they can simply edit that as appropriate. And the reminder will come to them by way of automatic email with a click link for them to open their individual declaration documents. So we see that that'll probably be far easier and far more effective.
Thank you. Chris?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I thought I had updated my register within the last month. If I haven't, then please tell me what I've done wrong, Dave. Thank you.
I will go and look into that.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah. Will do.
Yeah, I think I'll be interested to see how those changes that you're proposing, what difference they will make, because I think we need to have these better performance than we're getting at the moment. I certainly think if they get the existing document, and so they just have to edit it or confirm it still applies, I get a better result.
So through the chair, I think it's also just the reminder through that process for elected members in terms of the gifts declaration that no gifts received is still a declaration. And we should be encouraging that transparency and clarity, or gifts declined as well.
Yes, that's the one that trips people up, I think. Gifts declined still have to be declared. So, yes. Bruce?
I was just going to say, I find it quite easy because you just go on the screen, you know, we're all up there online with our register of interest. And if something changes, all you've got to do is send Dave an email saying, here are the changes. You don't have to go through the whole list again. You just say, delete this one or add this one. Yeah.
Would it help if the interests were included in meeting papers? Yes. Some governance forums, that's what happens. They replicated every meeting in the papers.
Yeah, my
So-
experience with that in other boards that I'm on is that you have several pages, unfortunately, on that. And honestly, the lists for some people are so long. It's
Yes, they are. Mm.
The thought that came to mind just on good habit building is usually to tag it onto another habit you're already doing. So just the thought that comes to mind is if there was a way to integrate it into that monthly council, not the meeting itself perhaps, but the fact we're all here pretty much in person. Maybe there's a way we could, 'cause the survey you've made is already so simple. It's just the going in and the doing is an extra step you're doing at any point during the month. And we're not getting the habit for some reason. Maybe we could link it to something we are doing.
Yeah, and we are mindful, of course, that councillors are in the business of meetings and events. They get a lot of calendar invites, a lot of movement in that calendar, and that the calendar is perhaps not the best place for that reminder to appear, hence the move to an email. And as Councillor Nicol has alluded, by tying it with the expenses at the same time, it's a 2-for-1. So the links will be there for you to do both at the same time.
Okay, do I have a mover and seconder, please?
So the fact that the report could be several pages doesn't mean you don't stick it at the back of your papers. Certainly current entities I'm on, we do put it in, and yes, it's long because we have senior management as well,
Yes.
but we just stick it at the back and you can just eyeball it all the time. And as you said, Bruce, I never, I just send an email if I've got to change. I don't know, it's up to you guys, but it is important to keep it current. Hey, do we consider regulatory conflicts as well? So when we've got potential for CME action or potential for applications?
Through the chair, yes, we do. There's a separate policy that we have. So we have our general conflicts of interest for staff, and then there is a specific regulatory one. That policy to date has focused around the Resource Use Directorate. When it came to ELT the last time, the conversation was to broaden that out in terms of any regulatory activities that we're undertaking. But definitely in the resource use space, there's quite a well-established process around any of that decision-making, that conflicts are well managed. Because that sits at a staff level, obviously, not elected.
Thank you. Thank you. Who was the mover? Thank you, Chris. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
Value for money.
Which brings us to 7.13, staff interests and gifts. Connie.
Hello, thank you. Okay, so yes, this report is providing an annual summary of conflict of interest for staff and also the 6-month summary of gifts received. Just in addition to last time we presented this to the committee, they requested an understanding of how we manage conflicts in the regulatory space, which Janine just mentioned. So the process here is noted in that report. And I'm in the middle of changing that policy that Janine just mentioned to broaden it a little bit. Cool. So just point out the conflicts of interest. We had 10 declared. 3 have actions plans that were discussed and they're noted in the appendix, the attachments. And for the gifts, we had 4 declared. 2 were over the $200 value, and those staff members, the managers had given approval to accept those. One of those for a virtual pass was technically could have been under $200 if it was, it was a gift, but there was a saver early registration option. So that's just been put in the conservative level that was discussed. So happy to take any questions.
Jennifer.
Thank you. I was just wondering, so say these were 10 different conflicts were declared. Would you say that in our culture or in the way that these come through, on one hand, they could be declared super proactively, and on the other end of the spectrum, they're kind of reactive in the sense that somebody nudged somebody and said, hey, we really need to get this on. Would you say that we're on one end of the spectrum, just on your feel of how these come forward and how they get identified, or we somewhere in the middle still, perhaps? I'm just curious.
I think the processes that we have throughout like the procurement, that people do proactively declare those. And I mean, there's an awful lot that go out. So most of them, like they say, there's no declaration. And if they, pardon me, if they had been a conflict and they'd stepped away from that, then obviously they wouldn't have received that to declare. So they would have automatically been out of it. And obviously the ones that have declared, because I've felt like it might be perceived through that discussion and through looking at it, that there is no action required, that we don't receive it. So
Since it's linked to specific processes and the process kind of prompts it, you think we're pretty much on the end of very proactive?
yeah, I feel like that is.
Oh, that's cool. It's just more of a feeling question. So it's only subjective, I know, but
And I think if you look at the range of issues that have been declared by staff, it's a conservative approach. That's been
I have
taken.
noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
that's
a
great.
good sign, but definitely through our procurement processes, there's, conflict checks through there and.
Because it's
and
easy
that
to
regulatory.
forget sometimes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious. Yeah.
I think there's a benefit in being conservative in this case. If in doubt, declare it. You've
Yeah,
got it covered.
absolutely. Because there's, it's,
Yeah, don't
couldn't
not
agree
do
more.
it and then get caught out, which is far more damaging. Any other questions? If not, can I have a mover and seconder for this, please?
Yep.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much, Connie. And that brings us to the end of the open agenda. So we'll just pull. Okay, so we need a resolution to move out of open. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. We'll just pause while the changes in